Have you started collecting for the SNES and for some reason these games just won't work? Well then this is the video for you. So I'm Matt and welcome to the tutorial level, and you're here because you need help cleaning games just like this and just like this. These are actually my personal copies of both Donkey Kong Country and Disney's Aladdin, and I've had these for a very long time. And of course over time they're definitely going to get some dust and dirt and grime in there, and heck, especially if you're buying them from, let's say, flea markets, swap meets, yard sales, things like that, you're definitely going to find that they need a cleaning, sometimes a deep cleaning. So before we talk about how to do that and what you need, I want to talk about what you should not do under any circumstances. Two things. One, if you're someone who's just getting into Super Nintendo for the first time, like I mentioned at the start of the video, but maybe you had the NES, or you had Game Boy games or something like that, or Sega Genesis. I didn't have that growing up, but if you did, then you might have heard the myth of blowing into cartridges. Taking the cartridge and going, well, don't do that. So the reason why is because the condensation from your mouth, from your spit, we're gonna have to talk about that now, from your spit is going to actually corrode the cartridges over time. So I know that I did that growing up, and sadly I know now that I should not have. Also, don't use something called Brasso. The reason why is because while Brasso technically works, it actually strips away some of the information on the cartridge itself, on the that specific part of the cartridge, as you use it to clean it off. If you use too much, then the game will not be readable, and if you use too little, again, it can technically work, but it's also taking a layer off of that cartridge. It would be like saying, oh, instead of shaving my head, this beautiful hair that you see before you, I'm going to use Nair, which actually does burn the follicles of your hair while using it. So why do that? Why do that? Especially if you're getting into this, you're buying some more high-ticket games, some high-price games. Why? So let's actually talk about what you do need. So the first thing you're going to need is rubbing alcohol, also known as isopropyl alcohol. Also getting a cotton swab. It's funny, in my family, and I'm sure in yours as well, you just continuously call it a Q-tip no matter what brand it is, but it doesn't matter if it's a Q-tip, cotton swab, but just generic cotton swab will help. Also get a tissue and also get a towel. So the towel will be there so they can actually put the game on it, just in case you don't want to get any alcohol either on your table. Let's say if you have like you can see right here, a wood table, you don't want to get any alcohol on that. So put the towel down before you put the game on top. And also you're going to need that tissue in the off chance that you make the cotton swab too damp. Now at this point, you're going to want to take the cotton swab and move it back and forth on the contacts itself. Now you don't want to do this too harshly. You don't want to feel like you're going to snap it in two. And then I'm referring to the cartridge, the contacts in this case, not the cotton swab. But I would say don't be too gentle. There should be a certain amount where you know that you're getting off dust and grime, but you're not actually trying to attack this thing. So as you can tell, there is a fair amount of dust and grime coming off of these. Again, these are over 20 years old. You don't know how many hands these have passed through. Most likely these aren't even the person you bought them from's original copy. So at this point, you definitely want to make sure that you're getting in at all the nooks and crannies. Now, if you think this side of the cotton swab is getting too dirty, I would suggest using the other side of the cotton swab as well. Again, put the alcohol on there and rinse and repeat. But if you feel like you're just fine, you don't need to use the other side, don't use it to dry it off. You don't want any residue from the cotton swab getting stuck to the contacts and still having it be quote-unquote unreadable or dirty. Even though you've cleaned it, still the console might not be able to read the game if you do that. So what you should do is just leave it lying there for about maybe 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how damp you made the cotton swab, and do that before putting it back into the console itself. So I did that, and as you can see, putting the game in, it works just fine. And again, this most likely is going to be the reason why your game isn't working. In some cases, yes, it might have to do with the innards of the Super Nintendo itself, but for the most part, you're not going to have to open that thing up, do any solderings in it to get repaired. It will probably just be an issue with your game. And sometimes, yes, it could be something inside the game itself, but for the most part, it's probably just going to be dirty contacts. I mean, I guess if you're paying more than $100, or even for whatever you consider expensive for a game. For me, more than 50 or 60 for a retro game is expensive. So whatever price you think is too expensive, I would suggest talking to the seller first if you can, to try and actually see if the game works. So buy from sellers that you know, but if it's about a game that's, you know, like 5, 10, 15 bucks, there's a good chance it's just a problem with the contacts that you have to clean using the methods that we talked about today. So thank you all so much for watching the tutorial level. Love you all, take care, and if you liked the video, please remember to like and subscribe. If you need any other help, any other questions, ask me down below and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And thank you all so much for tuning in, and tune in next time. And heck, if you have any questions you want me to talk about in future videos, again, you can also post those in the comment section down below. So, love you all, take care, and tune in next time. So, see ya!